Hey there, students. Tom Ritchie here, and I am here with Mr. C, Mr. Colicchio.
That's right.
All right, and Mr. Colicchio is a teacher in North Carolina, and he just happened to be going to Atlanta for some sort of frisbee tournament, and he was on his way back. I asked him, "Why don't you stop by?" And so he did. So I'm really honored to have somebody else in the studio with me. And Mr. C's channel, you can find his channel if you go into the comments and all that. I'll create a card for the replay and all of that kind of stuff. But he makes some history videos. I found him through his Causes of World War I video, which is actually doing better than mine. So awesome. All right, and got to compliment the shirt there, Mr. C. He's got the Pokemon going. So definitely check out his channel, and I'll make sure that information is available to you. So the reason why we're here is that we were going back and forth about the free Milo controversy. Okay, Milo Yiannopoulos at Nero. He has been permanently suspended from Twitter, and I've been back and forth with a lot of teachers about this on Twitter because I've come out pretty fervently on the side of Milo, and I felt like having somebody in here to actually discuss this would be pretty awesome. So, Mr. C, if you just want to tell them a little bit about yourself, and maybe let's give them some background, let people know what exactly is going on here.
All right. Well, hi guys. I'm Mr. Colicchio. Obviously, as Mr. Tom Ritchie said here, I do teach high school and middle school in North Carolina, and I was going through the area, so why not make an awesome video with an awesome YouTuber and about this crazy subject that's going on. So just to kind of like a backstory, Milo Yiannopoulos is not the most PC guy. Let's just go out there and say it. And in a world that's becoming increasingly more PC, the PC fighters, these people that want to sort of go out there and make a name for themselves by pushing people's buttons, they troll their way to success. Now, a lot of people are anonymously trolling, but Milo is incredible because he just bashes with nothing to go with. He just wants to be out there. And what happened was, after viewing Ghostbusters, which he previously said back in like March or April how much he was going to hate the movie, he saw the movie and hated it. And he wrote a pretty bad report about it, so scathing that one of the actresses, Miss Leslie Jones, she took extreme offense to it, which created this huge Twitter feud between the two celebrities. This led to Leslie Jones blocking Milo, and what happened was Milo and his cult of domesticity followers kind of went after Leslie Jones in incredibly unprofessional ways. Let's just put it out there as that, in my own opinion. So that's where we are. It kind of led to Milo getting banned. Leslie Jones went off of Twitter for like 2 days, and then she came back and saying, "Oh man, I was never going to stay off Twitter anyways." So
yeah, and let's just to give a little bit more background, I think the specifics are kind of warranted here. Now, I'm not going to post screenshots necessarily, but you can look at the original tweets. Now, of course, Milo Yiannopoulos has gone back and forth with a lot of people, and I think that we can kind of agree that there were some things said by some other people that certainly were harassment. No question about that. That there were some things directed at Leslie Jones that were beyond a doubt harassment. Now, the other thing, though, is one of the rules of Twitter is don't feed the trolls. If you start going back and forth with them, they're going to multiply. They're like gremlins when you feed them after midnight and put water on them and that kind of thing. So, I mean, there was a lot of back and forth there between, Jones and all of these people, some of which some of them said some things that were unquestionably brutal, racist, and all that. But let's go back to Milo, the artist formerly known as at Nero. Now, as far as what happened here, like Mr. C said, that you've got he posted a scathing review of Ghostbusters, which, of course, one of Milo's big things is anti-feminism. He said he was going to hate the movie because it replaced men with women, basically put women in men's roles, and
also made the men in the movie look stupid, like they needed the women and that. But according to Milo, they stole the movie because that they were the undoubted heroes, not the women. So it's very interesting when you have somebody who's very anti-feminist and their views on the movie, that's going to make the lead cast very upset.
Yeah, and so scathing review, which he did post on Twitter, and that was not taken too well by Leslie Jones. Now, when she was going back and forth with these people, then Milo tweeted something to the effect of, "If your work is bad, you can always fall back on playing the victim." All right, which, whether that's harassment or not, he said everybody, gets hate mail. Okay, which Milo gets more hate mail than most other people. So, everybody gets hate mail, he says. And so then she said something like, "Okay, well, now I'm blocking you," something like that. She misspelled something, to which he made a smart aleck quip, and he said something about us needing better schools. Now, of course, if critiquing someone's spelling or saying that they made a bad movie is harassment, I feel like I would be kicked off Twitter. Like if I had the amount of times that somebody has thrown something at me that was not very nice and they misspelled something and I corrected their spelling, I would totally be off Twitter. So I guess the thing is, did Milo deserve to be thrown off Twitter? And if so, then, where should Twitter draw the line? Now, what you and I were kind of disagreeing about this. What were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts were that he did go a little too far with one of the Twitter comments that he made when Leslie Jones blocked him. He screenshot it and said, "Oh my God, I got rejected by another black man." And I was like, okay, that's the level of which there's the line. You've kind of crossed the line with this. You're calling a woman a man, because either she exhibits masculine features or maybe something else. But that in itself is the line that I was like, okay, that is kind of harassment in a way. Is it enough to be permanently suspended? I'm not sure, but in that count, it kind of seemed like to me that was the green light for the rest of everybody just to jump into him and his rescue.
And that's one of the things that, of course, has come up too, that he's been accused of, I guess, essentially the Twitter equivalent of starting a riot or something like that. Okay,
inciting the riot.
Yes,
of Twitter.
Inciting the riot of Twitter, which on one hand, it's one of those things that that went a little far, but then again, one of the critiques that's gone on, as far as people who are supporting Milo, you'll have no shortage of people, if you want to look for those tweets, of people advocating terrorism, advocating killing police officers. Absolutely. And all of this stuff. And what it looks like, it seems to have been a petty feud between two celebrities that ended with one of them being banned. Now, I guess the thing is, now we could say, okay, there's harassment, possibly, over the line, but then you're not even convinced that a permanent ban would have been in order there?
I don't think a permanent ban would have been necessary, but judging by his past, I can see maybe why they did it. With, he gets into a lot of Twitter beef with people, whether they're celebrities or everyday people like us. He goes after people, and it's very interesting because, he, as the self-proclaimed cultural libertarian that he is an anomaly in this growing melting pot that is America. We have a ultra conservative, gay, Republican, libertarian, whatever you want to call him, which, he's gays for Trump. He's in this weird area that not a lot of people can understand, not even liberals or even some conservatives, because they don't know where to find him. So he has a lot of enemies, like you said. He gets a lot of hate mail. And I think what happens is he actually feuds into, he loves it. That fuels him, because what he does is he takes that hate, and instead of, getting angry at people, he just outsmarts them. And he makes people feel stupid, which is what a great troll does. And what I think is very interesting, and going back to the original thing, I don't think he should have been permanently suspended just for this. Maybe it was a culmination of everything. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Twitter just trying to, censor somebody that was ultra conservative or maybe a little bit anti-feminist. In a way, I'm not sure that, Tom makes a good point. You have people that are progressives or liberals that advocate, for killing of police officers or inciting riots of their own to try to get their own political agendas passed. I don't think that's right. if you see somebody, I might not agree with every presidential candidate out there, but you shouldn't go out there saying that so-and-so should die. Like or calling them every name in the book and questioning their life and saying sexist, racist, any sort of xenophobic or attack that there's out there. I mean, I don't think that that's warranted at all. That's not what Twitter's for.
Yeah, and I guess that would be the bigger question. What is Twitter for? Which
Twitter's for when YouTubers, social studies teachers need to meet.
Yes. And see, the other thing is that back and forth, is very typical of a lot of exchanges that go on Twitter. And at what point is something harassment like, okay, I just blocked you, and then you kind of just put one little more dagger there, who knows? I mean, the thing is, though, it's like, is Twitter a place where people speak politely or not? Now, one thing you've mentioned is that Milo does occupy this space. Some people refer to it as the alt-right, and this whole idea that, it's like Milo is, he's gay, he's conservative, and those two things, he is equally unashamed of both. Now, another thing about Milo, if you look back at the history, he's not only anti-feminist, but the very scathing critique of Islam in particular, which, the thing is, if you look at his remarks after Orlando, a lot of people may disagree with those remarks, but as a gay man who has just witnessed a mass shooting of other gay men, does he have a right to at least say what he thinks and broadcast that opinion? Of course, that's what led to him being unverified by Twitter. And so that's the other thing, is the past history here. And then, of course, there's also the, Zach on Twitter is noting about, Twitter seems to have censored the Free Milo hashtag. Okay, there's been the hashtag Free Milo, and you notice that doesn't come up on the trends. All right, so this is really, I guess, why I'm concerned about it. Not necessarily to defend every remark that was made, but to what extent should Twitter, as a private corporation, be able to determine what viewpoints are expressed and what is said on that network?
Yeah, I think that that's a great point, because there's, obviously, I think that, like a lot of other websites, they're a little more liberal leaning. They might try to pretend like they're third party, but they definitely have liberal views because they do censor hashtags. That's not the only one. They censored the All Lives Matter hashtag. They censored the Black Lives Matter hashtag. And it's very interesting.
And they promoted that one.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, like they gave you had like the three fists and that
right.
sort of thing. So yeah, it's like they promoted one hashtag, yet censored another one and kept it from trending.
And so the interesting thing is, if Twitter's made for people to speak their minds, because I originally think that was what Twitter was for, because I remember when I first signed up for it, I was very confused because I didn't know what the point was. Now, as an educator who uses it to connect with other teachers and also to follow sports teams and to check up on music and stuff, it is also a way for people to express themselves. It's a way for them to connect with people that they would never be able to connect to. However, not all those connections are great. I'm going to tell you great things about yourself. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to say horrible things. I like a lot of sports teams, when I see the New York Jets do something stupid, which they always do, I get mad and I tweet my frustrations about the Jets. However, I think that the biggest thing is, to answer your question, to what extent should Twitter have censorship or owner rights over me, is, if I say that they suck, that's fine. But the moment I start making those personal attacks, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you throw another interception, I'm going to come to your house and your family's gone. Like, then
Over the line.
That's over the line. But the thing is, sometimes it's not as easy as that. It's a tiptoe around that line, because some people just use Twitter for the trolling. They make completely false accounts just to go at people.
Yeah. And so I guess that's my question, my concern really is, I just put up a video on the marketplace of ideas, but, does Twitter, as a private corporation, should they, now not necessarily just do they have the authority, but should they have the authority to decide, what, we're going to be left progressive leaning, and we are going to censor, right wing, alt right hashtags, and we're going to promote progressive causes. To what extent should Twitter be able to do that? Like, I mean, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that a neutral thing?
I think that it's very interesting because, freedom of speech is it's the First Amendment. Like, it's the one that is given to us. That was the first thing that the forefathers, before guns, which of course, was number two, they made sure that we got our free speech and our free press and our freedom of religion, our freedom of petition, our freedom of assembly. We needed to make sure that that was our protection. Voltaire said that I might not agree with what you say, but I'm going to defend your right to say it. Our country is founded on these fundamentals, these principles. And the interesting thing is that we see, though, as companies, private companies, they do exercise some power to restrict our amendment rights. And it's not obviously like schools where, you don't have certain freedoms, but a private organization might tell random people, you can't bring your guns in here. Well, hold on a second. That's my constitutional right. Yeah, but we don't allow you to have guns in here. Go back to the pre-civil rights era, separate bathrooms, Jim Crow laws. The private company has had rights to separate the races. So, and obviously the Supreme Court overturned that one.
Yeah.
But you're right. I honestly don't know, because speech is very important. Is it something that, companies should be allowing people to have? Because then again, it reflects back on them. They're allowing people to say horrible things that might not be harassment, but pretty bad.
Yeah, and see, that's what I get into. A lot of people are putting forward this argument that Twitter's a private company, so they can do whatever they want. But at the same time, when we look at the civil rights era, that, a private company cannot deny service to someone because they're Black. As far as a restaurant, as far as a hotel, now if it's a private club or something like that, like if I were paying for membership to Twitter or something like that, but a company that serves the public has an obligation to serve the public. Now, somebody made a reasonable argument, I think, that yes, if somebody goes into a restaurant and spews all kinds of racist, combative stuff, then the restaurant can kick them out. But then again, the point of the restaurant is to eat. Exactly. Whereas the point of Twitter is to allow people to express themselves. And, I was even reading something about Twitter's SEC filing, to where they're like, this is the marketplace of ideas online. And so if they're casting themselves as that, and then, people say, oh, well, you can go express yourself somewhere else. But if you can't express yourself on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, then good luck finding an audience. It's like, Milo has gained a lot of, he had around 400,000 followers, I think. So it's like Twitter was a platform for him to get his ideas out there. So, I guess where I, am very alarmed at this, that is where a corporation is restricting someone's speech in a way that looks like, it was a petty feud between two celebrities, and that happens. It's like, look at the Donald Trump, Rosie O'Donnell, that sort of thing.
You have the Kim Kardashian, Taylor Swift. I was a big Taylor Swift fan until most recently, and I just can't support her anymore. I'll still listen to her music, but man, it's tough. Even these celebrity feuds that go on, it's interesting because they don't mean anything to our lives. That's the hilarious thing, but it's kind of the principle. Should somebody, get permanently suspended from a free company of expressing yourself if expressing yourself apparently offended somebody? Now, I'm not somebody who's saying, if you're going to be offended that, that's the worst thing in the world. It's not like you broke a bone. You got offended. You get over it.
Yeah, and see, that's, now I'll just, to level the playing field, I'll admit to liking some of Taylor Swift's earlier stuff as well. CJ just came out and really put himself out there, and I'll just, go out there on the limb with him. Yeah. But yes, you look at, Donald Trump is called Rosie O'Donnell, fat, ugly, all of this other stuff. Yeah. And does that mean that, okay, well, now we, are going to, suspend his account, when really that's what a lot of people are watching on Twitter? And, especially when it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, you know, that, but I think that what alarms a lot of people about this Milo thing is the pretext. You know, it's like, it seems like this has been a pretext for getting rid of somebody that Twitter has wanted to get rid of for some time, you know, largely because of his inflammatory comments about Islam, which this is something that, you know, this is something that I, you know, need to verify, but there is a lot of talk that, you know, Twitter's actually like owned to a large extent by, you know, a Saudi prince or somebody who's got, you know, now like I said, that's something that a lot of people are saying that I need to independently verify, but that worries a lot of people too, because what happens if you express an opinion and then they're watching you and then it's like all of a sudden, okay, now we have a pretext to get rid of you. Bye.
What I think is interesting to kind of go along with that, one of the majority owners is that guy at Jack. He's one of the original guys of Twitter, and he recently came back onto Twitter to combat the trolls, to combat people and actually stop them from harassing people, which I think is interesting, because if you're an inventor of such an amazing idea of like Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, these are like the three main sites of, you know, comment leaving. And you have to come back to your company. You open an account so that you can actually, you know, oversee and moderate people's comments and suspend them or permanently ban them because it's a problem. And I think that that goes back to what you were saying about what are you actually doing with, what's your message? Like, what are you existing for? Are you a restaurant made for food? Are you, you know, a movie theater serving like the movies? No, you're a company that's allowing people to express themselves. However, do you have to agree with people all the time? No. But you should at least define where the line is. And going back to the whole thing, you know, was it this one thing or was it a multitude of them all?
And that's part of this problem as well. And thanks, Stuart, for your feedback, and Matt. And it seems to be a lot of people chiming in here that yes, Twitter is a private company, but Twitter serves the public, and the idea that companies that serve the public should be regulated and should be expected to, you know, basically to follow the spirit of the Constitution. Just like when the Supreme Court said, look, privately owned restaurant or hotel, you know, hey, if the gay couple wants you to bake a cake, you're a baker, you know, that's your job. And somebody actually said earlier that I just realized that Twitter is like Milo's bakery, you know, it's like, and with Milo being gay and everything, I was like, wow, that's hilarious that Twitter won't bake Milo's cake. All right. So that's, you know, that's part of it, that it's like, you know, I think that people who are saying Twitter is a private company, that they're not really, you know, what is their purpose? And they're supposed to, you know, basically they're a private company that is executing a public function. Now, one thing that we're getting onto here as well is, I think you've kind of touched on that Twitter has been very arbitrary about how they're enforcing this stuff. You know, if you're looking for a tweet praising cop killers, you're going to find no shortage of that. There are people who've tweeted like screenshots to where they've reported somebody for that, and Twitter has responded that we don't see any terms of service violations there. So,
and the worst part is that it's, and I think I actually understand why, because I was looking into research about that, because it baffles me how somebody can say such awful things and not be suspended or permanently banned. And the idea is that they're not targeting an actually specific individual. That was from the research I gathered. If you're saying, man, we should go kill some cops, you're not actually, even though it's bad, I'm not condoning that this person made the right thing. I'm just saying that.
Yes, we do not, neither one of us support cop killing or anything like that. Okay.
Not like that.
We made that clear.
But the language of it reads that you're not specifically saying like you're going to kill this specific cop. Like that, because it's not specifically targeted, the language works to Twitter's advantage. However, if you say something a little bit scathing about and you at somebody, congratulations, you have now made a specific targeting attack. And I think that that's the problem. A lot of those people that got banned, you know, the Milo fan club, let's call them, that went after Leslie Jones, the worst thing that they could have done was at her, you know, sent it to her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Twitter is going to come in. Do I specifically think that if somebody had made, you know, would have said something that's racist and about Leslie Jones, but didn't write her name, do I think they would have gotten suspended? Probably not. Do I agree with that? Definitely not. But I think it's just the word of the way that Twitter's written. If you look at their anti-bullying platform, their rules and regulations, it's very, very specific oriented, like when you're targeting specific individuals. But however, Tom makes a good point. Maybe they have their own agenda.
Yeah, and see, that's the, I think if Twitter's looking to be respectable, then it's like, I mean, I just wonder the insulting someone in particular, and then saying that like, oh, I want to kill cops. It's a really odd thing. But yeah, Twitter's found it's almost like they've created some loopholes for themselves or something like that. And, as far as what we see here, Jenna noted here that, Twitter is really, I mean, if we think about, you can follow your favorite sports teams, all that kind of stuff. But really, when it comes down to it, Twitter is a tool for self-promotion. It's like the New York Mets, all those guys with the funny long hair and all that, the picture, it's like they can get on there, they can promote themselves and their ideas. Yep. And so when you look at that, now another thing I wonder is like, is it harassment when the person is tweeting back? That's the thing that I think, another thing Twitter needs to look at. It's like, you tweet something, the other person tweets something, you tweet something else, the other person tweets something, and you're like, oh, I'm reporting you, by the way. And it's like, well, wait, but you've been going back and forth with this. So, what is it harassment when, I mean, the way that she handled the situation was to retweet all these people and to say stuff. And it's like, that's just like, here, gremlins, trolls, whatever, here's some water and some chicken after midnight, go to town.
Yeah. And to like kind of maybe offer the other side of that is that, I, for one, on my YouTube videos, whenever somebody says my video sucks or something awful, I don't respond in a way that's like mad. I usually just kind of play dumb or make them feel stupid sort of thing. The thing is, celebrities, they're just not, either they're not used to this or they're not, they don't understand how to handle it. And the thing is, when you say, you go at somebody, I don't think that the harassment was them getting into a conversation with them, because I can have a conversation with somebody and, if I filed under harassment, that would look really weird. However, if they end the conversation with something extremely sexist or racist or anything that's bad, then yeah, I'm going to say it was harassment. Like, this comment was harassment, not this. Like, this is fine. If we had a civil conversation, then all of a sudden you said something really bad to me, yeah, that's harassment. Did Leslie Jones do that? No. She said some about those people that she was reporting. She was fighting bad comments with really bad comments. And I don't think that she didn't see the high road in it. And she kind of like backed into it when she was like, okay, everybody's now ganging up on me. Now I'm going to report everybody.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing. Like, she's got 342,000 followers. Yeah. I've got like 8,000 followers, and
like 200.
Hey, follow this guy, okay? I'll make sure to tweet that. Yeah, but the thing is, though, that even like she's got about 40 times as many followers as I do, and she's a celebrity and all that. Her movie's out. She shouldn't really be responding to every single little tweet that comes her way. I mean, how would you technically even do that?
It's impressive to even think about that. I've had a YouTube video go up and miss comments, and people are like, when we used to do our thing, like there were people that lots of people, and there was like 20 people. I was having trouble commenting on all that. I can't imagine hundreds of thousands of people sending me things and responding to every one of them. Scrolling through her tweets was horrible because I kept just going through. It was like 2 days, 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 2 days. I'm like, this is incredible. I can't believe somebody would have tweeted this many times at trolls. Like, you don't see Donald Trump going through all the people that are trolling or saying hateful things about him and doing it. It's unfathomable.
Oh, he kind of does sometimes. He retweeted me one time.
I saw that, but you're not a troll.
I'm not a troll. Yeah, not quite that way. I'll troll sometimes. I've trolled before, I think. But yeah, the thing is, though, that he's not reporting people for harassment. It's just like, okay, I found some things, I'm retweeting, that sort of thing.
I don't think he would ever do that.
He would not have a lot of grounds for that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think that this is pretty sticky situation. It's one of those things where once you have all the facts in front of you, I think it's kind of difficult to defend Twitter's specific action.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it is an opportunity. And, since we're both teachers, that's really when you think about, like, talking about government in the United States and the Constitution and really the nature of freedom. Do you necessarily want to just say, oh, well, the Constitution just bans the government from doing that? Or, are you thinking in terms of like, hey, I want to make sure that my freedom of expression is there when I need to, say something unpopular, or that I don't lose my Twitter account just because I got in an argument with somebody and, I happen to be the one that said something over the line or something like that. But I think that it really is a teachable moment for American society because, we can talk about the role of corporations, the role of free speech, and how much do we really value that as a society. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. C, before we sign off?
No, I think I'll end my my spiel here by just saying, as teachers, it's interesting because for me, I would have them both banned on Twitter. If you're going to ban one, you have to ban both. And that's just my teacher approach. Like if I'm running like an online comment section and two kids go at it and they're just heckling each other, then you know what? You both lost your privilege. I'm going to put you on like a suspension for like a week from commenting on things. When you learn how, and we're going to review the rules that we're going to do it. Does that mean that I'm taking away your speech and freedom? No, I just don't want you being horrible to somebody else.
Now, one thing that I will note, like I don't have when I do live hangouts, I don't enable the comments on YouTube because, inevitably people come in, they just say things that are racist.
So bad.
All of it. Yeah, it gets awful. So I turn it off. Yeah. And then Twitter, it's like, okay, people are still going to say stuff that's awful, but I can at least filter through what I bring attention to and all of that kind of stuff. So that's almost like an advantage of Twitter. And I think really it's like when it comes to Twitter, you can decide. It's the marketplace of ideas. You can decide what you want to get into, what you want to ignore. Now, the fruits of this was that basically Milo was permanently banned, and then they basically begged Leslie Jones to come back to Twitter.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Like I said, from the teacher side of me, they both should have been. If you're going to suspend one, you should suspend the other. If you're going to ban one, ban the other. They're both not saints, obviously, but one isn't more saintly than the other. Like you can't, even if you have different opinions, Leslie Jones might be a liberal, she might be a conservative, she might be something in the middle. We know where Milo sits and stands. That's the unpopular thing of like a liberal agenda. However, he has every right to say what he wants to say so long as he's not violating those harassment rules. Same thing with Leslie Jones. What she could have done with those people going back and forth, that should have been harassment. I mean, the things she said were over the top too.
Well, some of the things, see, that was another thing, that there were some screenshots of like that might have been altered.
Yeah.
And so that added to this, that people were tweeting things that she allegedly said. And when it comes down to it, how do you hold one person responsible? It seems like they've made an example of Milo Yiannopoulos. And I hope that Twitter will, consider, it's like, look, I mean, he's been in timeout or whatever, and, we'll see what happens. But, there are plenty of people like Jenna who's watching that really value Twitter as a free speech platform. And I hope that, I do too. And I hope that keeps up. And I'm certainly glad that we got to have a conversation. So Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. C, for coming in. And now we're going to go have a steak. So always a pleasure.
It's fun.